An Analysis of the Most Dangerous Game by Sergi F. Kovaleski, published in the Washington Post January 2006, detailing the complex friendship of a Russian KGB defector during the Cold War and his CIA handler, Fred Kovaleski, through their shared love of tennis. Before we begin analyzing the article, I have 3 important notes. First, the KGB defector goes by different names, Yuri Rasvarov and Martin Simons. Both refer to the same person. Unless quoting the text, I will refer to him as Simons. 2. Sergi Kovaleski, the author, is the son of Simon's CIA handler, Fred Kovaleski. 3. The article was written by an American, and I am an American analyzing it. Therefore, I may potentially share some of the same underlying opinions about communism and the Soviet Union. This is an important fact that shapes my interpretation and analysis of the article, particularly relating to condoning Simon's defection. After realizing this, I attempted to mitigate my bias by reading the article many times across the span of a few weeks. Let's jump in. This article argues that politics uses and abuses people. It says that upon defecting to the CIA, debriefers plumbed him, Simons, day after day for intelligence. Plumbed implies that the CIA used Simons for information like a well is used for water, forcefully if necessary. Later on, the article says that Simons, who came to fiercely love his adopted country, would ultimately feel betrayed by the government that milked him for his secrets and then cast him aside. Once again, this reiterates how the CIA viewed Simons first as a prize, mentioned here, and secondly, as a human. I must stop to point out my own bias. I grew up in a house that viewed politics as a necessary evil. Therefore, I quickly got behind Kovaleski's main point. Surely, the US government treated Simons in an unjustified way. Of course, the situation around Simons' defection is not black and white, but gray. To put the article in context, Simons defected in June of 1954 after the end of World War II. See reference Editors 2009b. A few years prior, the US and USSR had shown significant cooperation politically. However, tensions heightened into a Cold War between the two in the 1950s. See Office of the Historian and Editors 2009a. Since the article gives minimal details, this context enriches the political landscape of Simons' defection and the CIA's treatment of him as a prisoner of war, described here. The cultural context of high tension between Americans and Soviets explains the heated exchange around Simons' work for the government, where a friend implies that Simons may work for the Soviet government, not the American government. By giving minimal details on the context of Simons' defection and CIA journey, Kovaleski suspends his story for readers to debate whether the treatment he endured was justified, regardless of the context. Additionally, the context of the author, Sergi Kovaleski, reveals an investigative journalist of stunning record, with a Pulitzer Prize, see Dwight 2016. Upon learning that Kovaleski's background and frequent use of this creative nonfiction style, I gave this article more credibility, as factual, despite the literary devices used for reader engagement. Finally, this article is an example of creative nonfiction. It relies heavily on dialogue and sensory details to recreate Simons' life experiences, but does it tell the truth? The author knows both Simons and Fred personally, so he speaks fondly of them both, as seen here and here. So isn't the piece biased? Yes, Kovaleski most likely adds a rosy hue to the characters, but he does tell the truth. Other sources on Simons' life, such as a New York Times series and his family, corroborate with Kovaleski's account. By telling Simons' life story in this way, Kovaleski draws out the unique facet of his transition to America, particularly noted here in the contrast of Simons' adulthood and childhood. Through these small but telling details of Simons' life, Kovaleski effectively makes the point that politics unjustly uses and abuses people, particularly people of different backgrounds.